He's whiny.
Yeah, like he sounds like such a bitch. I've gotten so many fucking comments from people lately saying like, "Oh, it's awful like what this new change in incentive structure has done by offering people ad payment for engagement. We've totally changed the type of things that people are posting. Like this never would have existed before the ad payout." And I'm like, brother, like
where have you been, dude?
I've been doing this shit long before anybody was paying me, man. We are out here for the love of the fucking game, dude.
I'm here entirely to get as much attention as possible. I promise.
Yeah, like I am literally just purely a whore.
As it turns out, I'm also an ad risk anyway, so they don't give me money.
This could cost me money, and I would still be doing it.
We were doing it.
It literally does cost me money, right?
We were paying to do it before.
Turning away fucking advertiser revenue. I am turning away partnerships. I am turning away employers and employment opportunities because I am so dedicated to posting about racially adjusted body count indexes.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. I also realized like there's so many like the rules for like what makes a tweet like ad acceptable, and I break all of them constantly. Like they don't like
same dude. I have no idea how I'm getting any money at all.
Yeah, I'm making probably
if I look at my payment per million, I'm so much fucking lower than like basically everyone that I have seen, man. It's insane. And we're still out here doing well because just the sheer volume of impressions is so fucking high. But like the pays per million or whatever, I'm at like Delicious Tacos level or some shit like that.
Bro, yeah, no, you can't. I do too many typos and I say the N-word too much, and that like instant disqualification because the ads don't know I'm black. So that's but it's okay. You pay for my Twitter Blue, and we're even Steven.
Oh yeah, Twitter Blue is definitely paid for.
That's all I need. I'll be out here to the end of the time.
Dude, I was looking at the amount that I'm making like per month, and it looks like we've kind of settled in by now, and we understand what we're gonna be making regularly. And I was like, this is like a bigger increase than like the last time I like switched jobs. Like the amount of additional money that I'm getting from Twitter, like it's like
you're getting
more than I got from like a promotion. It's so fucking.
Oh really? Are you getting good money from Twitter?
I'm getting decent money from Twitter.
Oh, interesting. I'm legit getting like practically nothing, but it's my fault. I deserve it. I deserve to get basically nothing.
I think if I can like I don't know what I'm gonna have to do to try and polish up the content guidelines. I don't even know if I want to, honestly. But it's like, have you seen like the really big right wing accounts? Like, have you seen Laura Loomer? Like Laura Loomer is straight up.
She gets like what I get,
making like $30 a month or something. she's getting like fucking like 1.5 billion impressions, and she's getting like $15, man. It's so fucking funny. She did this big post about how she's being like discriminated against because she's either like a woman or Jewish or like right wing or whatever it is that she's always complaining about. And that was when all of the other conservative influencers came in, and they basically said like, oh yeah, like I'm actually not making shit too. And that was when I realized like, oh, like this is definitely one of those things where like the 5 advertising agencies in the world are basically passing around an Excel sheet of all of the like, don't advertise with this account.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and like if you interact with any of these people, like you're going to get put on the list, right? Like we if we really cared about like maximizing Twitter ad payouts, like we would never interact with Zero HP Lovecraft.
Oh yeah, no, again. I'm GG's. I'm pretty sure like whenever they do like those graphs of like your socials, I'm always on his node. So it's over for me. But I'm unironically gonna have to just make a separate like anime account to just be normie posting to get ad rev.
Just posting like cat videos and shit like that.
They make so much money. Or like
I know,
bro. I can't even say who, but like the less your content involves words, the more money you're gonna make. I'll say that. Like just post
It
screenshots
goes
of
for
shit.
everything too. It goes for absolutely everything. Like that, it's like the full span of like cute animal videos to porn. It's just like if you ever engage with verbal content, you're getting cucked. Like
Yeah.
you're not getting any money at all.
You're gonna get reported by somebody who doesn't like your opinion, and then your money's gone. So GG's to that. You got to just do
Yeah.
the what's his face that Rosie that dude Rosie has the best grip
Oh
of all
god,
time, bro.
dude.
His fucking ad rev grip is perfect. Just do a screenshot from Reddit and that's it. Get 100
Yeah,
million
just a
impressions.
screenshot of Reddit. What do you guys think of this?
You're gonna be fucking rolling in it, dog. That's the way to do it. I
God, that's
respect
so
the grip on that one. That's a fucking job he's got right there.
I think that's probably going to become like replacement wage level soon
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
for like Rosie specifically.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
looking at their like engagement metrics.
Yeah, images go crazy on Twitter, especially with like no added context because he doesn't even have to reply with a comment. It's just here's the image, you guys argue in the comments, and I'll do the next one.
Well, I like look at the comments that they post or the captions that they post with their images. It's never even like I totally agree. It's like, not sure what I think about this one. Like, it's like some fucking like ambiguous like.
Bro, I gotta
It's just
respect it. That's fucking genius.
oh no, like I've had like talks. I mean, I think I've probably exchanged like thousands of DMs back and forth with Rosie about like specific like engagement optimization strategies and like things that I figured out from like A/B testing and stuff. And it's really funny to see which of the ones get like used and forwarded with the Reddit screenshot plan, right?
Yeah, I cannot do it because I would just kill myself. But I'm gonna have to make a secondary. The money here is too good if you're like willing to sell your soul. So I will be selling my soul on an
Well, it
alt
seems like one of
account.
those things that would be very easy to train up like a Fiverr guy to do, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Like go onto r/all, take a screenshot of like the most controversial post of the day, repost it with a caption saying like, and then have like Lucas Computer retweet you and say like anything just to juice followers endlessly.
Yep. We need to just partner with somebody.
All of this stuff, like I'm starting to understand now why you should just like hire people for everything, right? Scaling any single thing that we do ever gets so fucking easy if you just hire like high schoolers to do it, right? Like the same when you're selling real goods, having back end fulfillment, it's like you can either hire some warehouse that's going to do the packaging and shipping and all of that stuff for you, and they're going to take like a massive fucking cut of your total revenue, or you can make your own garage and fill it with high schoolers and train them to do it, right? And then you will achieve the same exact thing, except they will actually be better, more accurate, faster, and you will pay them probably 60 to 70% less than the actual fulfillment center did. It's
Yeah.
just that nobody has the agency to go out and train up a garage full of high schoolers.
Unless you're Epstein or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of us are. The agency is lacking for sure. This is one of those places. This is one of those situations though where I feel like I am actively hurting myself by not being willing to do a separate secondary grift account. Well, it's just it's leaving money on the table. Elon has made it so easy, and I am like, I want to say bad words though too much though.
I mean, I think the thing with Twitter is that it's never like the fact that Elon is willing to pay us this much money means that like the actual extractable value out of any account is like
Massive.
massively more than that, right? Like Elon's created like a very broad generalized strategy for giving people feedback on for giving people like kickbacks on their content. But everybody knows their own content and their own audience better than Elon's algorithm does, right? I
Yeah.
mean, not everyone, but like presumably an intelligent content creator does, right?
Yes.
So you should theoretically be able to design some sort of a product ladder that you can sell to these people using just like conventional online marketing techniques. Like, basic fucking like .com secrets 101 shit
Oh yeah.
that
I
is
mean,
able to extract way more value than you're going to be making out of ad revenue, right? And that's probably the way to go, right? Like seeking out maximization of Twitter ad revenue, it might make sense if you have like 5 million followers or something insane like that, but it just, the cheddar doesn't really add up if I'm going to like make all of these changes to my account or whatever. So it's like, oh, like I'm
Yeah.
making like $90,000 a year from Lucas now, and it's like I guess, but that's not really like, like you could literally
You'll
spin up like a
lose.
$500,000 product business in the same like 2-year period.
That's true. Also, you'll lose the other soft perks, which is the real appeal, which has always been the real appeal for Twitter, which is why I was always being willing to pay like Twitter Blue even without kickbacks. It's like the soft perks of having a following that's tailored to like what you want out of it, like the social benefits of
Like
just like having my
at some
account.
point you
beats
lose
it.
the goodwill of your followers, right? Like we
Yeah.
can reach out to our followers and ask like basic questions about stuff, or ask like, hey, like we need help with this resource. Can you? And at some point they go from being like, oh, this is like some wacky guy who I like on a personal level, to being like, oh, fuck this guy. This is some like grifter loser that I hate. And like, no, I'm not going to do any favors for him.
Yeah. I mean, also like the actual value, if I quantify the social value I've gotten from just my account, it's way more than the ad revenue, like in practice.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Like, I mean, like as much as I'd like the cash in hand, I've tens of thousands of dollars have come from just the Twitter, just from talking and being ridiculous online. So whether that's jobs, free like entry into things, fucking passes to things, party invites, drugs, girls, like it's infinitely
Girls,
more than
I love the idea of like converting like Twitter women into some sort of like financial metric.
they are a financial metric, at least certainly a liability, a financial liability, if anything.
Certainly,
but.
yeah. There's definitely both sides of the equation there, dude. Speaking of fucking insane internet girl shit, right? I had a stalker reach out to me, right?
That's fun.
We were just on a podcast with Default Friend, right, talking about a lot of this stuff, and we were talking sort of about like the impermanence of various internet groups and stuff, and how like like Facebook groups, secret Facebook groups, maybe that just go away, or like forums get deleted. And this stalker incident reminded me of the absolute permanence of the internet, even when that shit does go away, because they hit me up with such, and it wasn't a stalker of me, it was a stalker of someone else that they basically hoped that I hated enough that I was going to take all of this stuff and just like fucking dump it out on the timeline and obliterate this person's life. And I instead was like, no. But I also was a little bit horrified in the sense that like they had so much on this person that it made me realize like, oh, like this isn't like, oh, you've just been collecting information or like talking to me. This is like you're fucking deep into this person's life. Like you've like mined through the data files of like close friends to them.
Oof.
Like you have socially engineered your way like deep into like you probably have my phone tapped, right? Like it was an insane. I mean, dude, they had fucking like.
Oh wow.
And them like admitting to like it's just like a lot of shit, dude. They had a fuck ton of shit, and they came to me, and so I was going through, and gradually as they were like talking to me and like revealing more about this, I started off, I was like very nice throughout the whole thing, because like even the first things they said, it was like, oh, like this person has like a loaded gun pointed at this other person. I'm not going to like,
yeah, don't rile
like,
them up. You don't want to get the
right,
target
yeah,
changed.
like I was like, we don't need to make them upset. But as it kept going, this person was not like, like most of the time stalkers are sort of just like insane, fixated, compulsive people.
Mm-hmm.
And this person was like a normal, well-adjusted, like highly intelligent, like charming person, right?
Mm.
Who just had like a personal grudge / thought that this was like funny, which like it objectively was, and it was only not funny to me because of like the proximity to all of this.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, no, like I don't want, like none of this shit can ever see the public. And then we wound up basically reaching like an agreement on that frontier.
When I used to care more about OPSEC, when I was doing my like the older podcast, I was like, oh, my OPSEC's pretty good, and it took about until like I got like this one girl who like decided she really liked me, and she fucking messaged me on Instagram. I was like, how the fuck did you even? I don't even use this. Like it's not associated with any of my accounts. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, oh yeah, you said you had an Instagram, and then I pieced it together. I was like, what the fuck? She's like, 21-year-olds can find anything on the internet. They try if they're sufficiently motivated. So ultimately, all you need is one person who has enough intelligence or a girl, and you're doxxed anyway. So that's kind of the
Yeah. It was that was honestly like a I haven't actually like ever encountered that level of because it didn't like this wasn't like, oh, like I was running your shit through like a database and I found your like old accounts and stuff, but it was like like fucking like that
yeah, that's
shit
crazy.
was
Getting
that shit was actually wild.
that's about as good as it
I don't know.
gets. Yeah.
Like I talked to this person and they like
What did they swim?
seemed to
Did they
know a
swim?
fair bit about cybersecurity, right?
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
there we go.
I was like, is this like a fucking like a federal actor who just got like bored and had like a personal grudge against this person? Like, what the fuck is going on? And like they were so fucking good about like like I consider myself like a fairly decent information miner, right?
Uh-huh.
But there was any time I would get anywhere close to any subject that was like that would have revealed anything about their personal information, they would like elevate it to a higher level, talk about it in like an abstract sense in a way that like no detail could be derived, or they would just totally avoid it.
Oh, they're
something. I was
proper
like,
hacker. They know about the
I know.
social.
I was like, God damn! Like
They're down. They know social hacking is the biggest key.
This is the other insane thing. I'm like 98% sure it was a fucking chick, dude.
Oh, you don't even know the person you were talking to was a guy or girl.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
all
yeah.
of their typing affectations were girl, which like there was a period where it was like this could be like trans, right?
Oh, well,
This could-
yeah,
and
trans
that would
sense.
make more sense than anything
Yeah,
else.
if you're
because, like,
cybersecurity and talk like a girl, has to be trans. I would.
that was what I was thinking, but it was like the affectations were like too subtle.
Yes.
Like it wasn't like the heavy-handedness that you might see from some other parties. It was very like.
See,
I don't
girls
know,
are
dude.
great at stalking, but they don't really know shit about cybersecurity. So
My thought basically, the only situation in which it made sense that this was actually a girl was that like they were a part of some sort of government agency or like cybersecurity firm. They had access to the tools that allowed them to spin all of this up in a way that like they didn't actually have to technically understand what they were doing. They basically had to like plug in a few prompts and it would like give them like a new identity, or it would like allow them to like target somebody's
Yeah.
phone number or something like that. Because it's like the Mossad doesn't, like every individual Mossad intelligence agent, like when they make a new fake identity, they don't go and like manually do all the shit on their own, right?
Yeah.
Like they have a program that basically handles all of it.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
it's been
if you're
automated,
if you're
right?
if you're inside passive, if you're like in the industry or whatever, you can a few clicks of the button. You're not actually hacking anything.
Yeah.
Maybe they're an Apple employee or something, and they got the iOS admin or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I assume trans. That makes the most logic to me. Typically, when anyone gets a little too technical,
the other thing that made me assume trans was that like the more that I talked to this person, I started wondering like, does this person actually care about the person they've like gathered all this info on, or do they just want to talk to me? Because it's like, why did they come to me in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Did they ever have any intention of dumping any of this shit, or did they just want to make friends with me and they thought that this would be like a funny, bizarre way to go about doing
we know
so, right?
we do know your key target demo is the trans community. So
I literally said, I literally was like, trans people fucking love me, dude.
Yeah, that's real.
Either that or they want to kill me, but it's
it's really the same thing if you think. Yeah.
It's the same thing if you just flip the coin over.
That's funny though. Hey, well, at least you're not the target.
Then they sort of mysteriously disappeared there after a while.
That's lit. Well, that's cool. At least you're not the target though this time. Well, I guess you're never the target. It's usually people around you that are the target of stalking.
Well, this is also how like a lot of this shit goes, right? It's like with Charlie. Like Charlie himself is never really the person who gets hit when people go after like Ramelia. They look for like who like the most attackable angle around him is, and then they start like going after them.
This is a very being likable is makes you bulletproof, makes you Teflon.
But it also means that you don't want to be the least likable person friends with the likable person.
Yes.
Because every single person is going to direct their fire that they want to send off to that likable person at you instead.
100%.
You become like the lightning rod for all social grievances towards this person.
There's a story I have to tell you off mic that like also kind of relevant to what you just said. But yeah, that's funny. All right, I think I might be fried. We have like an hour and 18. That's probably fine, right?
I don't know. Do you want to? You're fried. Are we
Yeah.
totally fried? I guess you know.
Well,
Is
I mean,
there?
we can record again this week. I just am fried right now because we did like 3 hours if you include DF's podcast. And
Here, there's one. There's one. Yeah, we did actually. We've been going for a while. There's one thing that we should get to after this, I guess,
oh, what?
or right now, actually. So I posted somebody. I think it was Nagolo. He said, like, "What is your most outrageous conspiracy theory that you believe might be true?" And this isn't my most outrageous conspiracy theory, but I basically said, like, I'm pretty sure they're fucking with us on the population numbers, right? Like, I don't think that they are accurately representing the population of basically anything. And it's like, I don't think that, like, it's not even like an American thing. Like, I think that basically every single country slash city slash whatever in the world has incentive to inflate their population if they can get away with it, right? Because
Okay.
greater population means both, and especially now that we've done this NATO shit where, like, oh, if you have a greater population, then you're excused for like a higher level of CO2 emissions or something, right? So you can literally get away with like a more efficient, cheaper industry if you have a greater population. You literally get more voting power in like America or something like
Yeah.
that. You get more resources from like the federal government. You get more electricity. You're allowed like more bandwidth, like all of these things. There's basically no reason
To not
for
inflate
like
your
not
population.
wanting to inflate that number. And like obviously, like, it's going to be the people in the city who control, like, think about it in America, right? If you want to inflate your population, how do you go about doing it, right? You have to basically fabricate new people, make like new birth certificates, and then make like an organic medical record and stuff like that. These are all things that you can do if you like run the city, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're the ones who would want more.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a thing where like it perfectly aligns the incentives with the people who would enable it. It doesn't make any sense that it wouldn't happen that way. And then you have other countries. Like, why would China not lie about the number of people that it has? Right? Like, it's literally like a deterrent against anyone like invading or wanting to go to war with them
True.
or anything like that. And then like we're gonna fucking test it. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna send some census guy over to count 1 billion Chinese people to like fact check them. Like, it's never gonna fucking happen.
That's true.
It will
Here's the question,
absolutely
though.
never happen.
If you had a
Yeah.
guess, then what's the percentage drift from the actual numbers?
I have no idea. That's the other weirder
I think
thing.
you can get away with
assume-
20% easy.
I think, yeah. I think something in like anything from the scale of like a factor of 0 to 1 or something, I don't think would be like too large. I don't know. Like, I think trying to fraud too hard out of that starts to, you know, you could probably estimate, like big tech would probably know. Big tech almost certainly knows the actual numbers because they would be able to figure out like the organic number of
like
people
devices and stuff.
online.
Yeah.
And the like, you know, like the amount of energy being used by a house, stuff like that. Like,
I mean, they
think
probably
would have-
unironically have the literal number of devices, and that's pretty heavily correlated to the number of people.
yeah.
So they,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they might also have like weird like server bot like obfuscation farms going off or something like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
But
I'd say, yeah. I mean, I think 5% is probably guaranteed. Maybe 10% you can get away with.
if you're like Gavin Newsom, what is your incentive to not lie about the number of people in your city?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. With Gavin Newsom, or like if you're like, especially if you're like even like a city like Austin or something, because you want to make it seem like there's high demand, right? You want
Yeah.
you want to make your city seem like it's up and coming. So you're like, oh, the number of people who moved here.
Well, your state literally fucking gets more votes.
Yeah.
if you lie about it. Like,
Yeah, very also true. Yeah, you get more votes in like the Congress, and also that also you get to fabricate votes. If you have like a
exactly. Like,
you
if
have
you're
a margin
inventing
of
the
like
people,
10%
you
of
can
people.
invent which party they're voting for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm with you. I'm sold.
It just 100% doesn't make sense that people wouldn't be doing this because there's nothing really to prevent it from happening, and there's like infinite upside, right? This is like, so the reason that I responded with this to Nagolo is not that it's like the most outrageous conspiracy theory, but that it's like, this is the conspiracy theory that like the most number of normal people will be able to buy into after like 4 seconds of thinking about it, because they're just like, oh, you know, like if you have any level of skepticism of the government whatsoever, it's really hard to understand like why they wouldn't want to lie about this.
Yeah, I agree. Also, like, yeah, basically, there's every single incentive in line for it. There's just nothing. There's no downside. And the only person who would fact check that is the people who would do it anyway. Like the person who's inflating the numbers is the one who would fact check the numbers.
Yeah, they're the only ones who would have the capability to actually like run a census or something like that. And like again, obviously big tech knows and stuff like that, but like there's no way that big tech wouldn't be in on any sort of collusion with this, right? Just because like if I'm fucking like a big data center, like I'm running like an Amazon Web Services thing, and I figured out like, oh, like it seems that you're lying about this, right? Like I'm gonna go to the politicians and I'm gonna be like, we've done a fairly detailed analysis on this, and here are our proceedings. Would you like to donate $500 million to me, or would you like me to post them? Right? Like, I'm not going to be out here wanting to make the waves, but I'm definitely going to get in on the cheese, right?
Absolutely. You're like, yeah. So when it comes to your getting the power, yeah, we're gonna cut off through these legislation that like are limiting our freedom and whatever for the tech. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like, yeah, I because like a lot of, especially with these big cities too, there's like a lot of, especially after Obama, a lot of like tech restrictions on what they can do. So you would want to like talk to the politicians and be like, we want a little more laissez-faire, let us deal with this R&D, let us run this system, blah 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 blah. Then you're in, because they probably don't even need the donations directly. They just want more freedom, because there's a lot of like weird walls up for tech companies.
Yeah, that would actually be a funny bargaining angle. Just saying like hamstring us less.
Yeah, like
give us more GPU clusters.
More GPUs clusters.
I got into a funny thing with some guy. I was pretending, like sometimes somebody misreads my tone in something such that like I want to just become the thing that they've misread me as. And now that I've put like data scientist in my bio,
you did?
I guess
yeah. Because of your polls?
yeah, because of my like Twitter polls about like racist body count stuff. So I put data scientists in my polls, and there's all these people who will respond with like interpreting anything that I say in this like super like soulless manner. And so some guy was getting into an argument with me about like the weed thing and saying like, oh, like you think that they're dead just because they're not being productive. And I became some sort of like hyper clinical sterile like data guy who only values people for their productive output and like efforts towards the GDP, right? And I started responding in this vein, and I wound up in the end claiming that I had been like instrumental in the development of several AI models that were he basically said like not everything can be measured like in terms of like productive output. And I was like, everything can be quantified, everything can be abstracted and measured, right? Like even things like kindness, happiness, etc. Like, and he disagreed, and I was like, no. And as I was writing, I was like, I'm actually like convincing myself here, because you can abstract and quantify like happiness, emotions, shit like that. Like brain scan emotional analysis is now at the point where you literally can figure this stuff out, right? Like it's not something that you just take like like an estimation or like a self-reported feedback. We can literally measure people's emotive response to various things.
I'm shocked you didn't go the other direction, because I actually thought you would have been I felt like this was going to end up in a troll about how like homeless people and unemployed people don't count as people because they're not productive. Like I thought you were going to go like in like just take it full like hyper capitalism.
That's kind of what I was saying, was that like the stoners didn't count as being alive because they decreased their productive capacity.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, and so they were saying like they were like, oh, like that's such like a stale, lifeless view, like that you would only value someone for their like productive output or something. And I was like, yes, like the GDP is all that matters. and then started saying basically like they were saying, no, like there's things that are more important that you can't quantify, like happiness and kindness and whatever. And I was like, everything can be quantified. Like you're I basically wound up saying like, if you gave me a big enough GPU cluster, I could code and reproduce you if I found it to be worthwhile. And then I said, like, I probably wouldn't. Like, I probably wouldn't.
I love it. That's fun.
I love there's like a certain sect of people who like have this weird value of human life that's almost like romantic in its sense that like, because these people tend to think of themselves as like very like data driven and stuff like that. And I think they're really going to have a hard comeuppance with machine learning overall, when they start realizing that, like, like all of these things that they purport to value so much can actually just be coded away, right?
Like, what do you mean?
Like kindness or niceness, or like the basic, like politeness, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could create an AI that is going to go and it is going to be nice to 10,000 burn victims, right? It's going to show them true kindness and empathy on a level that they've never experienced from any person ever in their entire life.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It will be the most caring, the most loving, the most involved actor in their entire fucking life. And I can be the most clinical, sterile, capitalist asshole doing this. And now suddenly the net utilitarian outcome of my life, my
Much
life's
higher.
work is, yeah, like I have been nicer and I've shown more kindness through virtue of my AI to all of these people than any sort of like do-gooder type ever would, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, what is your value now, right? Like I literally have hyper-capitalist, utilitarian, efficiency maxed you and your one gay thing that you care about into smithereens, right? Like you thought of yourself as the nice, caring guy with like the human touch or whatever. And
And
it's
you
like
got BTFO'd
I
by
sat down and I
my
said,
nice
okay,
AI.
what does the human touch actually consist of? I found the relevant variables, I abstracted the rest away, and then I outputted it to everybody who needed it as a product, as a service, right? And what do you have left to give people?
Nothing. You're fucking nothing. Now, see, that's I don't like that you just detailed this well though, because it means it's gonna come to pass now. You just hyperstitioned it, but I do appreciate the meme of it though. Well, yeah, now we have
I don't know.
some fucking psycho 12-year-old is listening to this, and he's gonna do this in like 10 years.
Oh no, this is already happening. Like the
Yeah.
stuff that I was talking about the AI. Like I know AI researchers who are using like brainwave emotional analysis to basically do this, right? Like I'm not just like pulling shit out of my ass. Like this is ongoing research and development.
Yeah.
Like it's
Fucking-
100%. It is 100% going to happen, and that's why I think, like, I don't know, like obviously, like looking at everything, like, oh, productivity is the only metric, but like it kind of is, man. Like it's like, what are you?
I mean, if you're not
producing,
doing anything,
right?
I mean, it's like physics and work. It's like if you don't go from point A to point B, like you're not
because,
doing
like,
shit.
everything kind of does have to be thought of as like advancing these metrics, or else you're just going to get shit stomped by somebody else who is, right?
Yeah.
Like even I don't know, in your own personal life in some capacity, there's going to be like things maybe where like hyper optimization towards these metrics doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like maybe I don't know, but even now, like having kids or stuff like that, I might be totally wrong. Because like look at Elon. Elon is obviously like kid maxing, right? He's totally sidestepped the inefficiencies of a single wife. And he's
just giving his sperm out
like
now.
yeah, like he's literally optimizing towards productivity and child rearing, right?
And then his fucking he will air an entire era of world leaders.
Yeah,
And-
he's like birthing an entire battalion of little Elons to go out and do all of this other shit for him, right? So I don't know. Like I like think about one sort of metric of like what you would consider like a true value of like a good life lived that can't be quantified and abstracted and then optimized for.
I mean, there's basically nothing. I mean, this is kind of the case with any like system, right? Like the dominant strategy, BTFO, is everything else anyway. Whether that means just having more kids or like making some hyper productive AI, like your whatever shit you're talking about is gone. Like whatever, like, ephemeral thing, it gets BTFO'd.
Yeah, you want to talk about like, oh, the human touch. And like I do think there is stuff that is going to be increasingly hard to replicate, right? Like I believe fully in all the woo shit about like the human heart having like an EMF that's
I'm all
able
about that
to
EMF thing.
transmit like weird emotions to those surrounding
Listen, this
you,
is why
right?
we don't have telekinesis anymore. Because we fucking
I still think we might.
we have a little bit. We have subtle.
Right, but like
heartbeat.
you can totally take someone who's very happy and put them into a crowd, and they will increase the net happiness of the crowd simply because of their aura or their
Yes.
heart EMF or their brain EMF or whatever the fuck it is. Like I believe in all of this weird woo shit. But in the same time, like if it can be measured, it can be replicated, right?
They'll start putting out little fucking orbs in the crowd that just gets you
Right,
like gets
like-
you like high of like good vibe.
Yeah, like off of just like the enjoyment of
Actually,
the heart
I'm okay
EMF.
with that. You can
Heart
do that.
chakra.
I actually think someone should do that. Give me a little
I mean, I
hard
think
chocolate
obviously
orb.
there's going to be like weird negative repercussions to doing that, and that we're going to like fuck up, right? We're going to like fuck up and do it wrong, and we're going to like spiral some people in a really weird and bizarre
Well,
way.
you start having
But
you start having like orb junkies. You just start like licking the orb and are just like cracking out off like good
People who
vibes.
are like trying to put it as close as possible to themselves to like maximize, because it's gonna be some sort of like impact decreases with like 1 over distance squared. They realize the closer they get to it, the better they feel for the longer.
It's hilarious. No, yeah. I mean, I'm cool with the little temporal, not temporal, like a spatial drug. You don't have to even ingest it. It's just a little. It's like I guess people try to do that now with crystals. I guess, right? All of a sudden, like the
Yeah, I mean,
crystal, those
I
crystal
think that's
conventions are.
basically our organic attempt to like replicate that, like having some sort of a weird node representing like somebody's general aura. Like I think that's basically crystals at this point in time.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's sick though. That's actually a cool.
I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know. Like the AI stuff is just funny for this reason though, because like everybody likes to think that there is some unique, unreplicable human spark to stuff, and I think there probably is, but I don't necessarily think that it's necessary towards producing things that are going to have the same end result, right? Like, like people want to say, "Oh, you abstracted away these things and that makes it not the same." But in like when I'm talking to you, there's a lot of shit that we just naturally abstract out, right? Like I'm not fully processing everything that you're doing or saying,
Uh
you
huh.
know? Like we're naturally going through a process of abstraction as we communicate. And you don't need all of the other information. Like obviously there is other information, but like it's not being used by you or me to convey stuff,
Hmm.
and it's pretty safe to throw it away.
I mean, it's sort of
And
like
then
smell, right? Like a lot of animals have really strong sense of smell, and we have a strong sense of smell to some degree. It's obviously weaker than like dogs or something, but like there's a like I don't know. Going on this tangent, you can't even speak about smells and different types of smells because it's so it goes straight to your brain. We don't even have like language to like talk about it really, right? Like we have to like relate smells to like other shit because we don't have like the words for it because it's just like jumps past that part of your brain.
yeah.
You know, so like that information is being conveyed. I mean, like, and we can like create like synthetic smells that do shit like that. We can tie it to get it tied to memory. I mean, there's like I don't know. There's like it's very much the like. There's a lot of bandwidth and like that's transmitted there, but it's also like not crucial, right? Like if you like lost your sense of smell, like your life's not impacted that much, even though
Yeah,
it's
like
a
a
major
lot of things
component.
change. There's specific activities that are more or less impacted, but like I'm in a conversation with you right now.
I
If we
can't
were in
smell you.
person, yeah, I know. If we were in person, there would be some level of smell related sensory input. We're not. It's not like there's a huge amount of impact to the conversation
Yeah.
that this is having, right? Like it's not really mattering that much in the same way that there's like subtle nuances in pronunciation and shit like that that matter a lot more than the exact use of words that we're picking, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or like intonal things in the way we say the
Yeah,
words.
you just gotta parse out the things that actually matter and then build the model up from there.
Symbol.
And that's what gets really funny is when the machine learning guys figure out which data you can just throw away because it's fucking irrelevant, you wind up getting like a very parsed down list of inputs that they lead to a very like a full-fledged output.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. I mean, like, I sure like this. I mean, but it's abstraction. I mean, like, sure, some things are laws, right? It's not as like robust of a experience, but within like what, like a decade, no one even remembers what it was like before then. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Well, I mean, even now, like there's ways that people have figured out like to make the average person feel that like an AI model cares more about them than any person ever has, really. Like it's we've figured out how to maximize a lot of very like air quotes personal metrics.
mhm.
And this is now. Like we're not great at this now.
Yeah, we're not at like singularity level
Yeah, and
AI shit.
obviously this is all happening over like text and like synthetic vocal reconstruction. But
Mhm.
like even that, like even the synthetic vocal reconstruction is getting very good, right? Like
Oh yeah, bro.
like
Some of the things I see on TikTok of just like they're like some kid spun up is it's like, oh man, I can't like this is compared to what it was even a year ago is unbelievable that this is just free online to
And
use.
this is like what we have access to, and we know that like the actual models are like variegated, and I know especially because like talking to like actual ML researchers, like like it's not they're not just tossing this out there for everyone.
No, and there's also a reason why all the ML guys are like it's like fucking
It's a cabal, it's a
glazing. Yeah,
cartel, man.
they're like
Every single
glazing
every
the AI.
single serious ML guy eventually becomes like an entryist, like a safetyist guy,
Yeah.
which I obviously disapprove of because I want them to give me the fun toys, but I understand begrudgingly why they've come to their stance
Hey,
that Lucas having access to unlimited technological frauding devices may be bad for the global economy.
yeah, Lucas will bring about Ragnarok like Loki with his trickster.
Yeah, Lucas using it all specifically just to like amuse himself winds up taking down like three fucking like national security organizations just by spamming them with like phone calls all day from like disgruntled citizens.
I would. I love those stories of like the dudes, like the super libertarian dudes who just like file Freedom of Information Act shit all day, just to fucking ruin the bandwidth of like government agencies. I think that's like
Yeah,
so
just
fucking
to like
funny.
fuck with them, just to just be a massive thorn in their side. I do always, I mean, it is. So for those of you who don't know, like what an FOIA is, basically like you can request information on like anything that the government has that's like declassified up to a certain point, and they like, I don't know, there's some sort of bizarre US government thing where they like have to give it to you. And
But it's
you
like
can just
humans
keep,
doing it. Like it's like people like, with a
right, like it's
job.
not like a computerized automated process, right? Because they can't just like spit it out manually because they have to like view over it and make sure that they're not giving out anything that is supposed to be like censored or anything like that. So it's this really bizarre process where one guy can just keep like DDoSing them, requesting endless packets of information about various subjects, and like the government just has to keep like manually reviewing his requests and like looking at this, and like you have to have such massive balls to do it because at some point you realize that what you're doing is like pissing off like an intelligence agency. like you're basically declaring yourself an enemy of like the CIA.
Well, we gotta love those people. I don't have the balls for that, but
It's like the same people who go and they start like reciting their like, I know my like Fourth Amendment rights to like the police as they're getting arrested, and it's like, I don't like, I get it, like I get the spirit of it, but I would simply never do that because it's like I like to lubricate socially my interactions and make them easier. And
yeah.
at no point interacting with a cop would it occur to me to be like, the way that I make this easier is by like spamming him with like amendment factoids,
Bro,
right?
I love those videos of like people like lawyers and shit like just being complete douches to the cops for no
Yeah,
reason.
just being like huge fucking assholes, man. There's so many TikTok videos where it's like part 1 of 17 of my confrontation with like the Cleveland police, and the guy is just sitting there with like his like legal advice 101 handbook, and he's just like reading things to the cop like about like, I know my rights, like he's like, I have 3 firearms in this vehicle and you will not enter. And like,
It's always so dumb. Dude. It's like a routine traffic stop. The guy just wants to like give you like a fucking
yeah, like the cop isn't even being like aggro. The cop is like actively pissed off that he's gotten caught in this guy's like engagement farm. He's like, I just wanted to have a normal fucking day today. I just wanted to go back, pick my daughter up from school, eat my donuts, man. Like this guy is sitting here. He's got a fucking mohawk. He's got face tattoos. He's clearly high on some sort of fucking drug. I'm not even gonna arrest him. I don't care. I don't care. Like I just want to go home.
I love this shit too because it's like I generally do not. Let's say I've been pulled. I don't know how many times I've been pulled over, but like 10% of the time have I gotten a ticket. Like they usually just go like, "Oh, you're good." Like it's a warning.
Dude, people
you're
tell
good.
me all the time that it's like a race thing that I've never gotten like haggled by cops.
No, bro. I've been pulled over so many times. I mean, like I don't get pulled over that often though, so it's not like I have like a huge sample set. But I mean, if when I'm near my hometown, I've been pulled over a million times, and they're usually like, "Oh, okay, all right, put your blinker on next time, whatever the fuck." And they're like, "No ticket, just like go home."
Right, like, I might get called, like, a massive bootlicker for this, but it's simply never been an issue for me, even in, like, big cities with, like, super hyper aggro cops. I've literally, like there was a period in high school when I got pulled over. I was in a car with, like, I was the only white person. I was definitely, like, I was not hanging out with my usual crowd of people. Fucking everybody was, like, actively passing around some, like, Gatorade bottle bong or
Uh-huh.
some shit like that. Uh and like I wound up just being the deal with the police person and the basic commentary that everything went totally fucking normally. I just told everyone like just stop. You just don't
Just,
don't do like any of the
just
things
don't do
that's on your
anything.
fucking mind right now. Don't do any of it. Just shut the fuck up, look forward, be normal. And after we got out of it, they're like, "Holy shit, man! I've never had an interaction with the police go like that before, man. We gotta keep a white boy around in the future." And I was like, "Dude, it's not." I swear to God, it
It's
was not the race because if it was the race, they would have fucked me to send all of you guys to hell, right?
yeah.
Like,
It's literally just
and
that if you behave like a normal person, they would rather. It's like they're doing a job too. They don't want to do it either. Like if you
yeah,
make
like
their
they
life
don't they
easy,
don't
it
want
makes
to deal with a bunch of weird bullshit from people who might like shoot them, right?
yeah. Like so many fucking times. I mean, like speeding or this or that. I mean, I remember getting pulled over in high school being high, and I didn't even have an ID yet. Oh, I had an idea. I just didn't bring it because I was, young and I was stoned or whatever. And yeah, and it was literally just like, oh yeah, I'll give you the information. They were like, okay, cool, bye. Like I was telling the story. I think I told the story on the podcast where like my mom called the cops on me because I was like having a panic attack on the phone. And like they come to my dorm room and it smells like weed because my roommate has like an ounce of weed. And they're like, oh, you're freaking out, man. Do you want us to like check the room? And I'm like, hi, and I don't know. I'm like, he's like, you don't have to let us in. And I was like, no, don't come in. And they're like, okay, bye. They don't give a fuck, bro. If
That's so fucking
and it's like
funny.
every time I see like a conflict on the fucking any video I've ever seen with like police conflict, and I know this is not 100% of cases, blah blah blah. Don't
I
mind
know
my
there's
shut
100% like weird asshole cops that do just like haggle people. I
that
know it
exists. I'm
happens. It
sure.
has to happen. And I know that it happens because like I have within me the extreme empathy to model somebody who just wants to fuck with people all day. And I know that if that were me, I would 100% become a cop, right? Like if I wanted to just go around being a huge fucking douchebag to people on a daily basis, it's sort of like how if I in my heart of hearts was a pedophile, I would become a school teacher. Like if my goal was to go around fucking with people in ways that they couldn't control or respond
Yeah,
to
you
or
become a
prevent,
cop. It makes perfect
I would
sense.
become a cop, right?
But most people just want to get their day over with so they can go home and like eat dinner and go to sleep and like talk to their wife, right?
I
So
think I think more likely what happens to these cops is that like if you are a cop, your life basically becomes dealing with the most dangerous and violent people every single day for the rest of your life.
yeah,
And I think it necessarily jades and like black pills you on humanity in a way that you can't really achieve through any other profession.
that's true. Yeah,
You know,
which is also why again, if
like
you like behave cool and or just like make it easy, they're usually just like, oh, you're not a danger to me or anybody else, and you're clearly just like doing your thing. Like, all right, you get a ticket. Like, I just never had a even like remotely like there's one situation where I like almost
this
got
is so
arrested.
funny also because we're saying this and we've been going off about how cops are totally rational actors who will never fuck you if you're acting normally. I guarantee you we're going to air this episode and in the next like week both of us are going to be like shot by the
Yeah, right.
police for no reason,
I'm
right?
sure.
Like,
I'm
we're
sure I
just
get fucking
it's gonna be
arrested.
yeah,
Like,
it's gonna be some fucking video. Both of us will get shot. Mine will never be circulated. Yours will be circulated.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guarantee I'm gonna get fucking whatever. Let's knock on wood or something. But like, I don't know. Every time I've had an experience, the only time I ever almost got arrested, I was paint. I used to like my stepfather had like a cleaning company or some shit when I was in like middle school, and he would like clean doctors' offices or whatever. And like he was just being lazy one day or something. He had like a second something shit. He just couldn't do it. So he sent me, but I obviously couldn't drive it. I was like 15, and he had one of the dudes from the church pick me up. But he picked me up he was a black dude who picked me up in a painter's van, and we went to a doctor's office after close, and like some neighbor saw it and thought we were robbing the place. And I remember, and I'm like cleaning it. I'm like 14, 15. and like I started hearing like knocks at the door really loud, right? I didn't obviously know it was a cop, and they must have said they were the police, but I didn't hear it, right? Because I'm like panicking, and I'm like, they start kicking the door down, and I'm like holding it shut, and and we're both holding it shut, and then it open, like they obviously get it open, and they have their guns drawn. They're like, they're fucking like arresting us. They're like, who are these two fucking black? What are you supposed to be doing here? Blah blah blah. And then like it gets resolved in like 5 minutes, where I'm just like, oh, I'm supposed to be cleaning this. I know the guy's the doctor, and that was like the full extent of it. Like if you keep relatively calm, they kind of are like, oh, okay, got it. My bad.
There is definitely, because I do understand also the specific type of like Spurg person who like there's definitely like weird twitchy libertarian guys that I've known in my life who they're always talking about like their problems with police, and I 100% know how it's happening, right?
Yeah.
Like I know that the instant they have any sort of an interaction with the cop, their blood pressure spikes like 400%. Their heart starts like hammering. It sounds like a fucking like jackhammer going off or something like that. They're sweating. They're like running. They're fidgeting around in their pockets, like looking for some sort of like a weapon to defend themselves or something like. And I can imagine myself being a police officer faced with a certain person like this and thinking like, my life is in danger. Like, I'd better escalate a little bit, right? And I think them escalating leads to the police escalating leads to them escalating, and it sort of becomes this weird game of chicken where both of them wind up like screaming at each other. And then I think these are the like amendment screams.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
wind up getting created, and it's just that my response to like high stress situations tend to be like
get more calm down, and think. Yeah, try to think more rationally.
I'm a very de-escalator type, right? Like I've never been like someone comes to me with some sort of like big conflict or whatever. I'm not like, fuck you. Or like someone gets mad at me for something. I'm generally like, let's put the gun down.
Yeah. I'm definitely a de-escalator naturally too. And like, yeah, under stress, I get more like calm and whatever. So I guess we're lucky in that sense, and which is why we don't have these cop stories.
I also just genuinely get confused by anger as a response to like most things. Like I don't really understand and relate to it. There are, I don't know. I feel like increasingly like I'm running into women who don't really like get sad. Actually, like I don't know if it's like an SSRI thing or whatever.
Could be,
but I don't know. Have you met any of these like sad women? Well,
if you exclude my like, if you exclude a couple exes, I typically date really chipper chicks, and they're like smiley, and they're not prone to sadness. So I would say I run into that a lot, but that's like kind of just my taste. I don't know if I'm prone to sadness. I'm more like a neutral character in general.
I don't think I really get that sad. I don't know.
I feel like sad is like I get more like angsty sometimes, a little like frustrated.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say I like to do like romantic idealizations of like extremely gay scenarios.
Yeah, like, I'm angsty. I'm
like playing the My Chemical Romance album in my head in the showers. I imagine some sad things. Fucking wow, I'm really feeling a lot right now, man. I'm really feeling those emotions.
Also, like I'm the kind of person who only cries at like sweet things or like good things. Like I cry from like, you can make me cry easy from like something that's like beautiful or good or nice, but I'm not gonna cry. It
depends on the mood I'm in. This is the thing that sucks is my fake crying is like dependent on my mood. Sometimes I can cry about sad things, sometimes I can cry about happy things, but it's never like I can do both.
Yeah, I can cry about happy, and I can cry about is it nostalgia? Like it's like that. Like for example,
I'm a big dude. Fuck, if you have me listen to songs that I
you like nostalgia baby.
I'm
high
done. School, and I remember like fucking anything that I did in high school. Like it can be the dumbest, most like totally meaningless bullshit, like totally mundane, and I can be like, oh my god, like what a beautiful childhood. Like, it's so fun.
I'm the same way that dude. I'm so cringe with that. I'm instantly dead with the nostalgia. But like for example, like sad movies never even remotely touch me. But like the movie that I always meme about there's two movies that I like fucking bawled crying, like, and it's so embarrassing, but they're funny movies, so I have to say them. One was Godzilla, the 2000 version. So in the 2000,
with the big fucking like rubbery dinosaur.
yeah, that
man.
one. Because the whole movie, you find out it's a mom Godzilla doing this stuff to protect her children. And I was like encouraged. I was fucking losing it. And the other one, Rocky 2, when he at the end, where he's like, Adrian, I did it for you.
This is something that I fucking love too. Is I love implications of like all of this was for
someone else,
like for someone, right? Like this all like I've been misleading you with my motives all along, but it was because I loved you this whole time. Like I fucking love that, and I do it so much in situations where like I'll go and I'll like retroactively attribute like this whole insane series of things that I've done towards like either defense of someone else or like towards like trying to like like get their attention or something. Like I love just the extreme romance of like the bizarre intensity of the whole thing.
Yeah, that kills me. That's my I do that shit too.
I like also doing the reverse, right? Where say like there will be situations where like I'm
when he gets older, he won't sound like this anymore, right?